Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at Automotodrom Grobnik in Croatia, 4,168 meters. That's the length of the circuit, which tells you that it's actually one of the shorter tracks that you will find on any calendar. However, it's got a tight and twisty layout, quite interesting corners, most of them cambered, so if you find a good rhythm, it's really a nice place to drive around, and it doesn't really matter what you drive around in. Most of what we're going to be seeing this weekend is, of course, let's say tin-top driving, tin-top cars, cup cars. You've got your Renault Twingos, your Clios, you've got your TCRs and what have you, but we've also got a single-seater championship on our program, and that's exactly what is going to be keeping us occupied in the next 20 or so minutes, because that is race number 1 of the D2 Formula, the Division 2. That's basically the category for the regulations that are used for these kinds of single-seaters that are currently on the starting grid. You've got your old Delaras from Formula 3, like this one, for example, that was once driving in the official Formula 3 championships. You had the Euro Series, but you also had lots of local national series like the British one, the German one, the Italian one, and so on and so on and so on. Currently, the Formula 3 world is already racing with a different type of Delara, but these cars are still very popular. They used to field different sorts of engines in the past. You had your Volkswagens, Mercedes, Toyotas, Opels, and so on. And they are still in the hands of excited drivers all around the world. We've got a wet race, as you see, on the pit gantry above the track with the lights. So not exactly the perfect situation for everybody currently on the starting grid. You see the drivers under the umbrellas, but yeah, poor grid girls. Yeah, they look all pretty, but I think they currently wish for a little more sunlight, and maybe for someone to hold umbrella above them. But in just a couple of minutes we're going to be racing, so everybody's going to clear the grid very, very soon. We've got drivers on the grid. We have got, let me just check, 10 of them. Yes. We've got Michael Fischer on pole position, car number 81. Alongside him on row number 1, that is going to be Nicolas Löffler. But you see the drivers on grooved tires. Of course, they need to have grooves that are able to clear out the water, so no slicks, unlike in the previous TCR race, because it started raining again, and it's supposed to be kind of here, kind of there. Always the danger of rain hanging above in the sky. It only depends on what kind of intensity we're going to see. 30 seconds to the start of the formation lap. It's nothing too dramatic. It should be a regular wet race. It is nowhere near as bad as it was yesterday when it was really pouring down with rain. And even actually 2 days back, we had a massive, massive hailstorm here in Croatia. But today, we still have brief showers, presumably hitting the track at various points on the program, but towards the end of the day, the sky should start clearing out finally, and tomorrow for the first time this weekend, we are supposed to see sun, which is of course going to be great. So Michael Fischer on pole position, alongside him Nicolas Löffler. P3, that is Andrei Petropoulos. In 4th, it's Lee Cunningham. In P5, Karl-Heinz Matzinger. In P6, it's Benedek Vida. P7, Ludwig Kronawitter. In P8, Luca Iannacone. In P9, it's Dr. Norbert Kröhr. He's been racing single-seaters, well, for as long as I can remember, honestly. And I always remember him in his 2-litre Formula Renault, and there he goes, if I'm right. And then Robert Siska in P10. But I'm not really sure whether we currently have him on the grid. We're going to have to check that. But back to the formation lap. This was the wetter part of the track in the earlier TCR race because there was water running across the track, still keeping it wet, still keeping it slippery. Other than that, the rest of the track was already dry, but of course that is now not exactly true. You've got your rain lights on the cars, but as you see, and yes, we are now running at a lower pace on the formation lap, but you don't really see much spray behind the cars, which will tell you that even though you did see rain on the start and finish straight on the grid pre-race, there isn't really a whole lot of water standing on the track, so not a lot of water being kicked up in the air, which means that on one hand the visibility shouldn't be very bad. On the other hand, there's not going to be a whole lot of grip. And this is probably not really perfect conditions, to be honest, because if it's full wet, then yes, the visibility is very poor, but you have then at least some water to be cooling down the tires. But right now it's sort of neither dry nor wet, which is, from a certain point of view, the worst conditions that you can have. And you also see the track marshal with the red flag in his hands, and that would mean that the starting procedure will be aborted. We're gonna get another formation lap a little later on, but now it is up to the race director to decide whether these conditions are suitable for racing or not. We have got 25-minute limit up on the gantry, but are we going to let the race start? Of course, a marshal with the red flag in his hands is not your usual starting procedure, but he's now running away. There is a green flag at the back of the grid, so we actually are gonna get racing. And so there we go, because the cars do have wet tires on them. We can go racing. The red lights are on, and we are currently underway. Really slow getaways as the cars are really just not gripping. And I'm also not 100% sure that everybody's on the wet tires. I may have seen one car on slicks. But either way, Nicolas Loeffler takes first place into the first corner on the opening lap. And we are underway. And as I said, it's kind of neither wet nor dry, which is, from one point of view, rather terrible, because yes, you do have better grip and you do have better visibility, but there is nowhere to cool the tires off, which means that they are going to overheat like crazy, and that's just going to make the life very difficult for everybody. This is the back end part of the track. It doesn't seem as wet as it was in the TCR race. Probably the water stopped running across the track. However, it's still tricky. Everybody still needs to be rather tiptoeing around the corners. But everybody has been able to manage the opening lap without any sorts of trouble. No spins to report. Yes, changes in positions, of course, but no drama, no collisions, nothing. So everything rather disciplined, and everybody's being rather careful. So it is Nicolas Loeffler leading us out, leading us away into the second lap of the race from... and it's no longer Michael Fischer, is it? Yeah, my live timing isn't really live or timing, but now it's back up and running. Good. So we've got Michael Fischer, the pole sitter, down into second. So it is him. Car number 81. There he goes in P2. And it's a close P2, honestly. 0.7 of a second across the line to start lap number 2 of the race. Then we've got Andrei Petropoulos in third, already trailing the leading duo by more than 2.5 seconds, but I believe that he's been managing rather faster sectors now. Lee Cunningham in fourth from Karl-Heinz Matzinger and Benedek Vida. And then we've already got a bunch of slower drivers who have not yet completed lap number 1. Is that real? And oh, it seems to be raining harder and harder. At least from one of the cameras, it would appear so. But here, not really. It's really difficult to judge because I believe that on the start and finish straight we still see sort of dryish main racing line. And now we have got a fight for the race lead on our hands, but Loeffler still holding on to it, having also set the fastest lap of the initial part of the race, 1:32.468. And although Michael Fischer was a lot slower, he's still managing to stay together with Loeffler, but that might just be my lifetiming still being a little delayed. Either way, the two race leaders are close together. Petropoulos in third from Lee Cunningham. And you can hear the raindrops hitting on the ambient microphone. So of course also the back four drivers are together with us. Yes, they are noticeably slower, specifically the last two, but those are the 2-litre Renaults. They would actually be slower. We've got the race leaders lapping at around 1:27, and this is the fight for the race lead. Michael Fischer making his way past Nicolas Loeffler. They are both lapping one of the Renaults. That would be Robert Siska. He's really slow currently. Even it's getting to the point where I would even call that dangerous. So, yeah. This would, in my mind, already need a white flag at least. But maybe to discover whether Robert Siska has got issues or not. Because he was really running very slowly indeed. His last lap time 2 minutes 10 seconds, 0.6, while the race leaders are doing, well, even low 1:27s. Andrei Petropoulos is starting to manage his own pace, and on the previous lap he was the fastest of the top trio, so he's chipping away from the race leader's gap, and he's getting closer, really a bit by bit, but getting closer still, getting closer anyway. And it's hitting harder with rain, I think. You see more and more drops on the camera lens. And there they are, the top trio. And again, Andrei Petropoulos really having nice lap times, and his sector times were really not bad at all. On contrary, Nicolas Loeffler, our erstwhile race leader, currently the driver in P2. Ooh la la, and that's going to be a big spin and even a hit with the barriers. Car number 22, Andrei Petropoulos, and that is a great deal of shame because Andrei was really managing a very nice pace, but he's got to be careful. His rear wing is currently broken. It's definitely not in the correct angle, and that's going to affect the handling, that's going to affect the downforce on the car. When I saw him driving through the opening corner, I was just thinking it in my head. That's too much curb for my liking, honestly. Because having been able to drive the track yesterday, even in a car as slow as the Renault Twingo, you want to avoid the curbs because they are extremely slippery in wet, and if you hit them hard you will start spinning, which is exactly what happened to Andrei, and he spun his car and hit the barriers backwards. And I believe that he's rather lucky that he didn't destroy the car a lot, because in the end he managed to reduce the speed dramatically before he actually hit the wall. Still caused extensive damage to his rear wing, which will need repairing, and I wouldn't really advise him to keep on going. I think he needs to come back to the pits and retire from this race, which is a great deal of shame for him, of course, but his car is currently not in safe condition, and what a terrible situation for him. I mean, honestly speaking, it was his driving mistake, but it's a great shame that we lost him from the top 3 battle. Here, one of the slower cars being lapped, I would say again. We've got already, well, Luca Iannacone and Robert Siska with 2 laps, having been lapped twice, let's put it that way. In the lead in the meantime, Michael Fischer has been lapping significantly faster on the previous lap, even more than 1 full second faster than Nicolas Loeffler over 1 lap. So the gap between them already nearly 3 seconds as we went across the line the previous time, but now we are completing yet another lap at this very short track with just over 16 minutes left on the clock, and we're going to see a new gap between the race leaders. Michael Fischer 127 actually slower, 129.8, so very similar to what Nicolas Loeffler did now, so 2.9 seconds between them still, and they are both starting to run slower and slower, which would suggest that it's raining harder and you can't really enjoy the same grip level, and that you can't really be lapping the track as fast as you could a few moments back. Meanwhile, Andrei Petropoulos, he dropped down to 4th behind Lee Cunningham, but apparently he seems to be going still. He even managed the overall fastest sector number 1 now. Well, I mean, not a purple sector 1, but he was faster than anyone else on the track, which is still pretty incredible given the fact that his car took some battering and is rather heavily damaged, I would say. It appears that it's not really affecting the handling so much, and with everybody going at a slower pace anyway, with more raindrops falling down onto the track, it doesn't really seem to bother him too much. But honestly speaking, if I were the race director or the sporting marshal, I would probably take out the red and orange flag with car number 22, because I still deem that that is not safe condition to continue with. I don't think the downforce levels on the rear axle are now stable, and there is also no guarantee that that wing is not going to fall off. So we're slowly approaching the halfway mark of the race. With just under 14 minutes left on the clock for now. There is your race leader, Michael Fischer, 128.3. So he was a whole second slower on the previous lap than he was on his best lap, which is still the fastest lap of the race, 127.340. This is Nicolas Loeffler, 130.2. He was already nearly further 2 seconds down on Michael Fischer, which means the gap between them currently sitting at nearly 5 seconds, or so it was across the line the last time out. Let's remeasure it as we run across it yet again. There is your race leader. The start and finish straight really seems rather dry. How about the pace? Michael Fischer 128.3 on the previous lap. I'm waiting for the live timing screen to refresh. Apparently that's going to take a while. Either way, in the meantime, there is another fight, and that's actually for P3. That's Andrei Petropoulos with that damaged rear wing. So he's really going nicely. He's really going fast, and he has just overtaken. Is that Lee Cunningham? There's actually a car. It's interesting because on that rear wing I see a number 99. There is no car 99 on the live timing screen, which means that this should basically be car number 9. Not this, but this one, the predominantly silver one. And that logically would be Lee Cunningham, who must have been overtaken by Andrei Petropoulos. We've already spoken about him having his car damaged. There you see the rear wing collapsed towards one side after the crash into the wall. And this is what's interesting for me, if there is going to be a red and orange flag from the marshals. Okay, so it's not raining harder, or maybe even not raining further, as we've just entered the second half of the race, because Michael Fischer, your race leader, has just set a new fastest lap of the race at 1:26.386, and he was already more than 5 seconds per lap faster than Nicolas Loeffler. Nicolas was really slow on that previous lap. Not really sure what happened to him. He was even a lot slower than Andrei Petropoulos and Lee Cunningham. But Andrei, he's got a gap of around 12 seconds to the second place. So it's going to be a challenge for him to catch up with Nicolas, but it's not unrealistic. And if the marshals don't really want to do anything about that collapsed rear wing, then Andrei may as well finish the race as he is right now, and as he manages to be as quick as ever, then he could still be eyeing second place in this race. He's already on the podium, having got back ahead of Lee Cunningham, but I would assume that second place is still on the table. Quite interesting that the single-seaters are not a whole lot faster than the TCR cars, because when we were watching the race earlier on, the lap times were just above the 1 minute 30 second marker. Right now the fastest lap is 1:26 something, but generally with this kind of grip everybody's now lapping rather above 1:30. I mean, it's pretty interesting because engine-wise, they are rather similar. Of course, one is a tin-top car, one is a single-seater, so I guess that if you then get to the chassis and to the car body, that's where the similarities stop very quickly. But engine-wise, not so different, honestly. 2-litre 4 cylinders, and I would even assume very similar power outputs. Somewhere between 300 and 400 horsepower. So on to another one with Michael Fischer. He's already done 12 laps in this race, and we have 7 minutes away from home. 1:32.2, so even his lap times drop. That would suggest either worse tyre situation or more rain. And we still do see drops here and there, but honestly, since the very beginning, no water spray behind the cars, so really there is not a whole lot of water on the track. But this is an interesting one, because this is already the fight for second, the one that was going to be before Andrei Petropoulos crashed his car, but he managed to get going again, and even with the damage, which is obvious, Andrei is managing a really nice pace, and he already seems to have overtaken Nicholas Loeffler across the line, where he was slightly quicker by about half a tenth, but it seems that Nicholas defended that position into the first corner, so they are still battling. And here they are. Ooh, that was really close, because they're both now lapping one of the other drivers. So Nicholas had to cut across Andrei, who really had to slow down significantly. Let's try and get back with them. Nicholas Loeffler holding on to second. Ooh, but he lost grip and exiting the final hairpin. He just isn't going that quickly. He was struggling for traction, and that opened the door for Andrei Petropoulos, who is now up and through. Up and ahead. Andrei Petropoulos cementing his position in second right now, with just over 5 minutes left in the race number one. And there's an issue, that's car number 99, or I would actually say car number 9, that would be Lee Cunningham in trouble. He's raising his hand, his car is going slowly, and this is an issue for the fourth placed man in this race, who is now just crawling and currently also grinding to a halt on the track, which should take out at least the yellow flags, but also presumably the safety car, and that would be it. He's already removing his steering wheel. He will jump out of the car. This is going to be a problem, and red flags are now out. So not only yellows, there are yellows somewhere, but I've already seen red flags in the hands of marshals. There is one, and the electronic panels around the track are showing the same thing. Very nice helmet design. If I'm not mistaken, this would really hark to one of Lewis Hamilton's designs, or it's rather similar to what he once wore during his Mercedes spell. Predominantly yellow design, but for Lee Cunningham, of course, this is a problem. He's stopping on the track, and that will be it for him. So cars are now getting back to the pits. And with 3.5 minutes left, I'm not so sure whether we are going to be able to restart the race. because, of course, we still have a quite packed program ahead of us. And there's the flatbed coming to rescue, but this is going to take a little while, honestly, to get everything set properly so that it's safe to pick the car up and then to load it onto the track and drive it away to safety. This is going to take minutes, and well, I would assume long minutes, and I believe that we may actually even now see the end of the race. Let's see. Let's wait for the official info. When we get it, but I actually doubted that we will be able to get this race restarted. But maybe, because everybody's now being instructed to drive to the end of the pit lane. But it also needs to be said that Parc Fermé, where all cars needs to be parked at the end of the race, it's at the back of, or at the end, towards the end of the pit lane, which means that, yeah, the cars were now brought into the garages. The track marshals are going to spin this car around and now load it. But where is everybody else? I'm just trying to check one of the cameras whether the rest of the pack is now standing in the pit lane towards the end of it, in front of the lights to get going again, or if they've already been brought to the Parc Fermé and we have the end of the race. So Leo's car is currently being already taken away from the spot of the incident, from the spot where he stopped. So the track will now be clear. Unfortunately, from the angle of the rooftop cameras, we're unable to see whether the cars are now standing in the pit lane or if they are already parked in the Parc Fermé. But I'm trying to check through one of the cameras, and I see one of the 2-litre Renaults already being parked at the side, sort of being wheeled into the Parc Fermé, from which there they are. There are the cars waiting to enter the Parc Fermé, which would suggest that this would be the end of the race, because these cars are definitely not getting ready for the restart. You see the drivers stepping out of their machines, and the cars are now being wheeled into the Parc Fermé. So that means that Michael Fischer will be your race winner at the shortened and aborted race from Andrei Petropoulos, who did manage to actually get second with his damaged car, so hats off to him as well. Yes, there are the cars of the race leaders. You see Michael Fischer's car, the predominantly white with blue highlights. We've also got Nicholas Loeffler's car. They were actually at the end of the pit lane waiting for the race to be restarted. They were waiting for that information, but in the meantime, they must have been told that it's not going to happen, which means that they are now also being wheeled back to be able to be pointed to Parc Fermé. And around the middle of your screen, you see the bottom predominantly white car with red highlights. That would be Andrei Petropoulos with the damaged rear wing. He will score second in this race. Lee Cunningham in fourth. Pretty much it means that thanks to the red flag being taken out, he might just be able to keep fourth. From Karl-Heinz Matzinger in fifth, from Benedek Vida, Ludwig Kronawitter, Dr. Norbert Gröhr, Luca Iannacone and Robert Siska. Just checking the program very briefly. Of course, this is just one of the packed row of races that are now coming up. So after this single-seater race, there's going to be Swift Cup race, Clio Cup race, the Twingo and GTs. So still a lot to be looking forward to.